my name is Ihor and this is a Techno Break. And today I'd like to make a track, or a little Techno Groove, by using Plaits from Mutable Instruments as the only sound source. I'm gonna process it through some other modules and maybe the Octatrack effects, and then record different instruments to different tracks on the Octatrack, and at the end have like a 4-bar loop with some hopefully good techno going. So, Plaits from Mutable Instruments is the digital macro oscillator, which features 16 different synthesis techniques. It starts from like classic wave shapes, goes into like triangle wave with wave folding and wave shaping, even the FM synthesis, then some harmonic synthesis, then some other waves, and then wavetable, chords, and the voice. It's kind of a digital voice generator, which is really weird. And then it has also some different noise generation, then the resonators, and also analog drum simulators or emulators. Kick drum, basically, the snare drum, and hi-hat. And also it features internal envelope and internal low-pass gate, which you can control by holding this button and with these two knobs here. So this is the envelope and this is the low-pass gate. So you can basically send triggers and trigger the instruments. And then when it comes to the main controls, it has the frequency control, which is basically pitch control or frequency control. But also you can control how much of, how many octaves it takes for these knobs. So for example, if you set it here, it's going to take like the entire amount of like 8 octaves, I think. Or you can select which octave you would like to be in and then have a little bit more fine-tuned control here. So these 3 knobs, harmonics, morph, and timbre, is basically, they are macro knobs or like macroses. It depends on which model which model of synthesis you select, and they will play different roles. For example, if you select a kick drum, the morph is going to be the amount of the decay time, and the timbre is going to be the transients volume, and harmonics is going to be distortion, the amount of distortion to the kick drum. Or if you select the classic wave shape, for example, you will have the morphing in between. So it's basically 2 waves. It generates 2 waves, and then you can morph one wave in between, like triangle and sawtooth. And this one, the timbre, is gonna do the pulse width modulation. So basically, there is another wave which is pulse wave, and then you can change the width of this wave. And harmonics is gonna detune in between these 2 waves. So basically, every single model features different things for these 3 knobs here. Then, of course, you can control all of them by sending like the voltage. So you can change the model, you can change the, you can control the timbre, you can control the morph, frequency, and even harmonics. And also it features these 3 attenuverters, which basically, if you have anything patched into the timbre, frequency, or morph, they're gonna attenuate or attenuvert the signal, basically introducing like a little off amount or more amount, or even going backwards, like the inverting the incoming voltage. Or if you don't have anything patched here, you by default, the envelope, the VCA envelope, is routed to these attenuverters and these parameters as well. Basically, you can introduce the envelope that can modulate frequency, timbre, or morph as well. So for harmonics and model, you don't have the attenuators in place. Then you can, of course, trigger the sounds and the envelopes and low-pass gate. But if you don't have anything patched into trigger, this module is going to just be as an oscillator. It's going to generate the wave, which is pretty cool. Level is connected to the trig, and basically, again, depending on the model, it can be used differently, but basically it's sort of like velocity or accent. And then you also have volt per octave as well, which is basically pitch information sent into it. And outputs. This is the most fun and important thing here. So basically you multiply these 16 synthesis techniques by 2, because you have 2 outputs. Main output, which is basically out, and auxiliary output, which provides an alternative version of the same exact model that you selected. So for example, for a kick drum, again, it's going to be on the main out is going to be one sort of like kick drum, and then on the other one is going to be a different emulation of a kick drum. Or for example, if you go to wavetable, here it's going to be different wavetables, I think, on different outputs. So yeah, that's when it comes to Plaits. Really amazing module, and this is exactly why I decided to make like a track by just using it. And let me also walk you through the patch real quick and some setup if you're interested. If not, you can jump to that timestamp where I will start doing the sounds. So basically Plaits, both of the outputs connected to bifold. I'm not planning to use bifold for folding, but I rather planning to use it as the most expensive crossfader in the world. So basically this thing is going to crossfade in between dry signals of the output and auxiliary output of the Plaits. Then it goes into the Polaris for filtering, and then it goes into the Electus Versio. Also, Electus Versio receives the clock from Steppy, basically sort of like clock division. And then from Emitter Versio or Electus Versio, I go directly to the output and into the Octatrack. When it comes to the triggers, I receive MIDI from the Octatrack and reset from Octatrack, then clocking the Steppy, and Steppy output A is being multiplied and sent into the Plaits, Mimetic, Digitalis, and Scales. I'm going to use Mimetic and Scales to have some pitch sequencing as well for bassline and melodic content. And yeah, that's pretty much it when it comes to the patch. I also have the LFO, if I'm going to end up using it, I guess not. But yeah, let's see. And then the Octatrack is set in a way that I have 6 flex tracks which are ready to record modular, whatever comes from track 7. And track 7 is basically playing back the modular. On it I have a compressor and filter, but depending on the sound source, I'm going to select different things, I guess. Like for bassline, I'd like to have chorus here, for example. And track 8 is a master track. We have 128 BPM. And that's pretty much it. Let's record the loops and get some music going. Let's do it. So let's start with the kick drum. Let's put a few trigs on... Yeah, this is not a kick drum. So this is a kick drum. So let's select the octave. I think this one will be fine. So, and let's also listen to the distortion. Nice. And this is the decay time. This is transients. And there is another kick as well. On the auxiliary output. Nice. But let's use the first one, I like it more. So basically I'd like to record 4 bars of this kick drum. Maybe a little compression. Less decay. And also let's route the... I keep pressing the wrong buttons here. So let's see. We have this envelope, and by looking at these 4 LEDs, we can see how much decay we have. Let's use the longest one and introduce it into the frequency. So this is the internal Plaits envelope routed into the frequency, which does frequency modulation. But for real, let's do it short, something like that. Just to have this kind of snap. Oh, nice. Maybe less transients. Nice, I like this one. So let's record it into track 1. So I set the Octatrack to record like perfectly quantized 64 steps or 4 bars basically. So it's recording right now. Let's see, let's have a look at the waveform. Yeah, I think it's a little bit too long for a kick drum. Let's make it shorter. just to leave space for bass line as well, and re-record. Now it's being recorded. We can also go into the quick mute mode. And right now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna mute track 7, which plays back the modular, and unmute the track 1. And we have our kick drum sampled. Easy like that. Cool, let's go and create, oops, what have I done? Yeah, let's go and create some bass line again. But for bass line, I'd like to use some pitch modulation or pitch sequencing. So I'm gonna grab output from scales, put it into the volt per octave of the Plaits. Let's go into the classic wave shapes and yeah, do something like this. And then the octave, again, I'm pressing the wrong button, of course. The octave, I think it's gonna be this one for bass line. And yeah, let's put some trigs and have a listen to it. Okay, I think this is the mimetic. Yes. And let's generate some random seed to these 4 steps here. And maybe just one step somewhere. And scales quantizes the mimetic signal into the minor chord. What is there an alternative version? Nah. Maybe some chorus. Let's remove compressor and put some chorus in place. Maybe a little reverb as well. Dark reverb. Okay. I'm not gonna do a masterpiece here, of course, but I think that's more than fine for now. Let's record 4 bars of this one. And next would be the hi-hat. Because hi-hat is something which gives us kind of a, you know, the groove actually. So let's do the hi-hat. It's gonna be simply, no, let's not make it simple. I'm gonna remove this one from pitch modulation, and I'm gonna patch output B into the level, so it's gonna be our accent. So we go into the B section here and we put the accents on the hi-hats, like where on the off beat, off hat basically. And then here I'm gonna introduce just a few more, which are gonna be a little bit less loud or significantly less loud than the ones with accent. And let's select the hi-hat and have a listen. So basically harmonics in that case morphs in between metallic signal and the noise. Let's remove the chorus and the reverb as well. And so harmonics morphs in between metallic sound and the noise. The morph is a decay. And this one is the high pass filter. Maybe a little bit of this reverb. Let's record something like this with manual modulation. So we've got our hi-hat going. Let's remove this guy and let's do our clap. And clap is gonna be something here. We have to select the snare drum. Yes, and then have a listen on what's going on. Okay, that doesn't sound like a good clap. Oh man, again I'm pressing the wrong buttons. I can't learn to press the right ones. Yeah, something like this. What is alternative? No, I don't like it. Maybe louder a little bit. Yeah, let's record this one into track 4. Done, and nice. Then we have our track 5 left, and maybe let's introduce maybe Chord. Let's try Chord, because Plaits has the Chord simulation here. And it can be a little bit tricky though, but let's try. So what if we have Chord somewhere, I don't know, here. Let's have a listen. Let's mute everything. That sounds like an interesting chord. Then you can morph in between different like octaves of the chord. But this one I think is fine. Maybe let's use a little bit of an LFO just to make it, you know, moving chord into frequency 1. Faster. And let's create some kind of ambience with it. Nice, I like it. Let's record this into track 5. Done. And at this moment, I'd like to introduce another thing here on the Octatrack. So I have the playback trigs together with the trigless trigs here, which can trigger the filter envelope as well. And they are placed on every single page where the kick is. So by simply going into the depth of the filter on every single track, I can introduce ducking effect. Let's do it for the bass line. Then for hi-hat we don't need it. For chord, let's mute. Listen to that. Nice. I like it. Nice. What have we left? We have like track 6 left. Let's put some other melodic content into it, I think. So I'm gonna patch the output from scales again into the volt per octave, reset first track of the mimetic, and then I'm gonna go to maybe classic wave shapes again, and yeah, put some trigs here and there, and we need to find some a little bit reverb, alternative version. This one is fine, but maybe instead of this LFO I can use some kind of slower LFO and modulate the timbre. So it's basically the pulse width. And let's create some sort of... And let's also reset the mimetic so that we have like repeating sequence going. So I'm gonna go into track B and reset it every 8 steps, let's say. And let's put some other trigs here. I actually like it. Let's record this one into track 6. So now it's recorded. Nice. And we still have our track 7 to play with modular. And let's put some resonator, maybe, with some sort of like a delay stuff, just a little bit somewhere, like a few trigs. Yeah, something like that. Let's listen without anything else. Let's modulate the reverb. And now we introduce bassline. Maybe let's introduce ducking here as well. Nice. Let's create scene 15 and send the modular into more kind of reverb. So on scene 15 we would have these effects. And a lot. I hope you liked watching this video. If so, put a like on it. Consider subscribing to support this channel, and consider subscribing to my Instagram as well. I really appreciate you all hanging here, and I'm thankful for all of your comments down in the comment section down below. Feel free to throw me a comment and have a conversation with me. And have fun.